Yeah, I think the team knows me and Jared on the side just give us the ball and we try our magic. So we try to do that today. And what Jared said, we went 1-0 down and we stayed in the game. And yeah, our guy, happy with the goal. So very, very happy.
Bowen makes history with the first ever goal at Everton's new stadium, then silences the doubters with his celebration. Ward-Prowse ruthlessly cut from the squad, Potts shines off the bench, and Summerville steals the show on the wing. Diouf terrorizes Everton's backline, but Mavropanos loses his man, whilst Paquetá has another off night. Nuno showed passion, the defence still looks shaky, but there were also signs of progress. Everton won, West Ham won, and here are 10 talking points from Nuno Espírito Santo's very first game in charge. Let's start with Jarrod Bowen. It was a classic Bowen moment, to be honest. Up until that point, he'd had a relatively quiet game, but that's what makes him so valuable. He always finds a way to deliver. Cutting inside onto that left foot, he fired home the equaliser, another trademark finish. That strike was historic too. Bowen became the first player to score a Premier League goal at Everton's New Hill Dickinson Stadium, echoing back to 2019 when West Ham also grabbed the first ever goal at Tottenham's new ground. The numbers around Bowen are stacking up. That was his 9th goal in his last 14 games, taking his overall Premier League tally to 59. He's now just 9 behind Michail Antonio's record of 68. And with 31 games still to play this season, he needs only 10 more to become West Ham's all-time top scorer in the competition. But what really grabbed attention was his celebration. Bowen mimicked a talking motion with his hand, cupped his ears, and appeared to say, "Keep talking." Just days earlier, The Athletic revealed that Graham Potter had serious doubts about Bowen's ability to lead the team as captain. Many fans shared those doubts too. Was that Bowen firing a message back at his critics? Since arriving in 2020, Bowen has led by example with his professionalism and consistency. He's been criminally underrated in the Premier League and, like Declan Rice before him, may never get full recognition unless he leaves for another club. But for now, his goals and even his celebrations are doing all the talking. And of course, that goal only came after West Ham conceded yet another sloppy one at the other end, which brings us onto our second talking point, defending crosses and set pieces. Technically, that goal wasn't straight from the corner. Areola actually did well to punch the first ball away, but the team switched off immediately after. Everton recycled it, whipped the ball back in, and Michael Keane was left unmarked to head home. That makes it 10 goals conceded from crosses this season and 8 from corners in just 6 games. Under Potter, it became a pattern. Opponents were targeting us with blockers on the keeper, overloading the far post and using basketball-style screens to stop defenders tracking their men. Chelsea, Spurs, Palace, they all punished us with set-piece routines. With Arsenal coming up, a team that thrive on routines from dead balls, that's worrying. Nuno has only had 2 training sessions, so you can't expect him to fix it overnight, but there were small signs of improvement. We looked more organised defending the first ball, and the players seemed a little sharper to react, and Nuno's track record gives reason for optimism. At Nottingham Forest, he inherited one of the worst set-piece records in the league, yet after he took charge, they went 45 set plays without even conceding a chance. He made organisation the priority, and it paid off. West Ham fans will be hoping he can do the same here. And one way Nuno showed his intent straight away was with a bold decision, dropping James Ward-Prowse completely. That's our third talking point. He'd started all 5 league games under Potter, but Nuno didn't even put him on the bench. Pre-match, he admitted, "It's a tough decision, but I have to make a decision that is best for the team." Ward-Prowse had been a favourite of Potter, recalled early from a poor loan at Forest and made a guaranteed starter, but many fans felt his performances slowed the team down, with little impact in open play and even his set pieces drying up. By the end, Potter's obsession with picking him had become a meme. Nuno clearly didn't fancy him at Forest, and now at West Ham, he's already made his stance clear. Insiders confirmed before kickoff that Ward-Prowse wasn't in Nuno's plans, and the manager backed it up with action. For a fan base tired of Potter's soft touch, this ruthlessness was a breath of fresh air. It was Nuno stamping his authority from day one. And it wasn't just his selection, it was his presence too, which brings us neatly onto the fourth talking point, Nuno's passion and his comments afterwards. He showed passion and intensity on the touchline, a stark contrast to Potter's motionless figure. He oozes authority, and already you sense players are responding to that. Afterwards, he kept things measured but demanding. He said there were positives and negatives, praising the team's reaction but pointing out the basics still missing. On the goal conceded, he admitted, "We should have been more aggressive. more contact, closer to Keane, but in the second half, we started defending better. The things will come naturally. Now it's about taking the steps forward. He stressed competing as a team and fighting for every ball. That shift in mentality, from excuses to accountability, was clear, and for fans, it already feels like a step in the right direction. And one player who really embodied that energy was Crescencio Summerville, our fifth talking point. He looked sharp, exciting, and was a constant threat down the left. It's no surprise Nuno wanted him at Forest in the summer. He's exactly the type of winger who fits his system. Summerville said not long ago, "When I'm back, it's going to be showtime," and he's living up to it. Against Everton, this was probably his best display yet. He ran Jake O'Brien ragged, came close to scoring himself when Pickford pulled off a stunning save, and the stats told the story. 55 touches, 93% pass accuracy, 1 key pass, 3 dribbles, 5 duels won, plus defensive work with clearances and a block. Sky Sports named him man of the match. Speaking afterwards, Somerville said, "The team knows me and Jared, just give us the ball and we try our magic. We went 1-0 down but stayed in the game, and I'm very happy with the point." It sums him up, fearless, creative, and crucial for Nuno's plans. It was a little surprising he came off late for Guilherme, because he still looked like the one who could create a big moment. But perhaps Nuno wanted to protect him. If he can stay injury-free, Somerville could be one of the players of the season for West Ham. And down that same flank, he had the perfect partner in Malik Diouf, which brings us on to the sixth talking point. Sometimes you can just tell straight away when a player has it, and Diouf looks the part. His delivery is deadly, already with 3 assists, more than any fullback in the league. And even Bowen's goal, though not credited as an assist, came from his brilliant run and cross. A former West Ham defender called him an absolute monster, and against Everton he showed why. His partnership with Somerville down the left gives West Ham balance at last, after years of relying solely on Bowen on the right. Jamie Carragher called him absolutely fantastic on Sky Sports, highlighting the way he powered past O'Brien and Tarkowski before delivering a gorgeous cross. Everton's own Andy Hinchcliffe labelled him extraordinary. At just 20 years old, signed for £19 million from Slavia Prague, he already has the physicality of a seasoned pro and the crossing of a top-class winger. West Ham might just have a gem on their hands. And speaking of gems, another youngster caught the eye too. Sunguto Magassa, our 7th talking point. It wasn't perfect. He started nervously and gave the ball away cheaply a couple of times, but as the game went on, he grew into it. The stats back him up. 88% pass accuracy, 9 defensive actions, 5 recoveries, 5 passes into the final third, plus tackles, a block and a clearance. He played forward quickly, rarely wasted possession, and earned a 6.8 SofaScore rating despite picking up a yellow card. Nuno knows him well, having tried to bring him to Forest, and clearly sees potential. Of course, there's still rawness and plenty of competition for his place, but if he continues to develop, West Ham may have unearthed another gem. And another academy product reminded us of his quality too, which takes us on to talking point number 8, Freddy Potts. How good was it to see Freddy Potts back on the pitch? The 22-year-old, son of club cult hero Steve Potts, came on for Magassa and looked composed in his 31 minutes. He completed 18 passes, made 2 tackles, won 4 duels, and wasn't dispossessed once. Potts has West Ham pedigree running through him. After loan spells at Wickham and Portsmouth and a strong pre-season, fans expected him to get minutes this year, but Potter barely used him. Nuno changed that immediately, and the difference was clear. Just minutes after his introduction, West Ham equalised, and his physical presence in midfield gave the team balance. Supporters praised him heavily online, some even calling for him to start against Arsenal. With Ward-Prowse dropped and Magassa still finding his feet, Potts could be about to finally claim a proper role in the first team. At the very least, Nuno now has healthy competition in midfield, and that's a welcome change. But defensively, problems remain, and one problem in particular, our 9th talking point, Konstantinos Mavropanos. He had another shaky outing. Now, the frustrating thing with him is that he does play decent at times. He can look solid, he can make important interventions, but my issue is that he always seems to make one big error, and more often than not, that error ends up costing us a goal. It happened again at Everton, losing his man for the opener, and then late on, he nearly gave a penalty away as well. He was lucky to get away with that one. With Mavropanos, it just feels like there's always a mistake lurking, and at this level, that's the difference between winning and dropping points. And finally, the 10th talking point, Lucas Paquetá. I've got huge hopes for him this season, but against Everton, he just wasn't at it. At the start of the campaign, he looked sharp and on fire, but in the last few games, his form has dipped. Against Everton, he was sloppy in my opinion. He kept giving the ball away, never really imposed himself, and looked off the pace. For a player of his talent, it's disappointing because we know he can be a match winner. I still believe he'll come good again under Nuno. It may just take time and the right structure around him. But on the night, it has to be said, Paquetá had a poor game. So that wraps up Nuno Espírito Santo's very first game in charge of West Ham. A 1-1 draw that showed flashes of promise but also underlined the problems still holding this team back. We saw passion on the touchline, ruthlessness in team selection, and glimpses of quality from the younger players. But we also saw defensive lapses, nerves at the back, and senior names struggling for form. Now the focus turns to Arsenal, a side who thrive on set pieces and quick transitions. It will be an even tougher test, and one that will show us just how quickly Nuno can impose his ideas. The journey has only just begun, and there will be ups and downs along the way. Make sure you're with us for every step of it by liking this video, dropping your thoughts in the comments, and subscribing to Hammer Bites for regular West Ham updates.